Chat, what is the one thing we know is true of all conservatives? That's right, chat. That's right. You guys got it. That's real good. Yep. Chat's good. Chat knows what's up. And with that in mind, let's read this headline. Anti-trans conservative busted with child sex abuse pictures on his computer. This story is from Wednesday. An Indiana man with a history of posting far-right and anti-trans memes on social media has been arrested and charged with possession of child sex material. Every time. Eldon W. Phelps, 25 years old, of Lebanon, Indiana, was arrested in August after the Boone County Sexual Assault and Child Exploitation Task Force linked him to an image of a prepubescent girl being raped by an adult man. Wait, that's not that means that he was in the image. That means he was doing the raping in the image. In April, the task force received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that included an email address and the username Martian Massacre Productions, both of which were linked to an internet user who had stored the image. They were then able to link the image to Phelps via online and phone records. According to the Lebanon Reporter, when police questioned Phelps in August, he told them they would find more child sex abuse material on his desktop computer. Investigators are currently performing forensic reviews of material found on the computer and other devices seized from Phelps. His trial is scheduled for December. So he just straight up told them that they would find more on his computer. He just admitted it. He didn't even bother lying? Jesus. Following the paper's report on Phelps' arrest and charging, one user of X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, posted several anti-trans memes and news stories shared by a Facebook account that appears to belong to the 25-year-old. One post featured an image of the transgender pride flag describing its pink, white, and blue stripes as, quote, pervert color. Another featured a Fox News story about Bud Light's partnership with Dylan Mulvaney, including a transphobic quote from host Greg Gutfield. Ex-user Bex described Phelps as an Indiana libertarian. The Facebook account for Eldon Wolfgang Phelps, on which the post appeared, is rife with anti-vaccine, pro-gun... Come on. Why do American liberals have to associate pro-gun with anti-vaccine, misogynistic, and medical misinformation? You guys see why, like, progressive gun people are, like, heavily thrown off by that, right? When regularly progressive outlets list pro-gun along with anti-vaccine, misogynistic, and medical misinformation and anti-immigrant, why are those in the same list? Fucking libs. The user also reposted multiple videos featuring social media personality Andrew Tate, who has been charged with rape and human trafficking in Romania, including that of minors. Reminder, by the way, Andrew Tate is also a pedophile. The user also posted multiple anti-trans memes and appears to have gotten particularly worked up over the controversy surrounding Bud Light's partnership with Dylan Mulvaney in April. Around the same time, the Boone County Sexual Assault and Child Exploitation Task Force received that tip that led to Phelps' arrest. So here are some memes he's posted. Ooh, here's an example. This is literally a link to his Facebook account. Holy shit. His Facebook is still up. So here's him posting... that meme format of the lady who wasn't triggered. Like, if you guys don't know, by the way, because this is such a, like, recognizable meme format the right has used to strawman the left, the story behind this image is the lady here isn't triggered. The lady here is in a crowd talking, and she's just mouthing her words, like, she's mouthing very, like, clearly each word, so the person she's arguing with in the crowd, who's, like, some conservative dude screaming that all Mexicans are rapists, she's mouthing the words, if you think all Mexicans are rapists and the majority of the people coming over the border are men, then aren't you arguing that most of those men are rapists? That's pretty misogynistic. That's what she's saying there, and she's just mouthing it. Or that's pretty misandrist is what she's saying, and she's mouthing it so that you can tell what she's saying over the crowd, but conservatives screen capped it and turned it into a meme to make her look triggered. When you look at the video, the original video this image comes from, most of the comments are people saying, wow, I thought the lady in this video was triggered, but she's not mad at all. Like, I feel completely lied to. Like, I feel like my entire world has been shattered finding out the true story behind the image. But, Nice to see that this conservative transphobic pedophile posted that meme format as well. Posted this meme as well. From iFunny. Oh my god, he posted a transphobic iFunny meme. Didn't even crop out the iFunny watermark. Goes from 200th place to world champion. Male athletes when they're terrible at sports. Trans mode. The funny thing is, as well, is like, where is this happening? Like, where is this, like, domination of trans women in sports? Like, you would think this would be so much more common, right? Like, there's one story of a trans woman winning like a gold medal, and that's like the one story, and it happened once, and so now that's what's happening everywhere all the time, 24/7, and it never ends. It's like dealing with an abusive partner, right? Have you ever had like an abusive partner or an abusive parent that like holds any mistake you've made ever against you forever? Like you were 10 years old and you made a mistake, and like your abusive parent holds that against you when you're 25. Like it's that kind of thing, right? Like, one time a trans person won a gold medal, like a trans person dared to win, and so that means that trans people are unfairly winning gold medals 24/7 all the time, always. It didn't just happen once, it is what is always happening constantly, every day. It is a consistent, ongoing issue that we need to fight. It's like, that's how they frame it. Another iFunny meme. Boomers, I can't believe I wore bell-bottoms. Gen X, I can't believe I wore my hair like that. Millennials, I can't believe I was goth/emo. Gen Z, I can't believe I cut my dick off. Ah, yes, it's not like trans people have existed since... These are trans people. They didn't have color photos back then. I'm pretty sure this whole trans thing's not a Gen Z thing. There are also historical writings of very obvious trans people in well before the existence of photo technology history. You can go back over 1,000 years, and there is writings of historical consensus of like people who are very clearly trans. There was a monarch who was trans, yes? Was there not a queen who was literally trans? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know the name or anything, but I'm sure one of you guys in chat knows. Trans Roman Emperor. Ancient Greece and Egypt. Emperor of Rome. Roman Empress. There's a Roman Empress. Ah, I see. Cool. Yeah. So basically, no, it's not like this new made-up thing, but I don't know why I'm responding to a meme posted by a conservative pedophile. Let's kind of acknowledge the whole Ped0Con theory thing here, okay? The truth is, there are two types of people that you'll meet that think trans people are at risk of predating on kids. You've got people who are generally just kind of ignorant, right? And they see an example of a trans person showed to them by a conservative. So let's use for an example, like, trans girl who's maybe not been on hormones that long and has, like, purple hair or something. They show that to somebody who's very ignorant and unexposed to the idea of trans people, and they get that to be the image that of trans people they have in their mind. Now, to clarify, there's nothing wrong with looking like that or being that, but to somebody who's very ignorant and unexposed, that is going to shock them. There's going to be a certain level of culture shock at being exposed to somebody who's different, right? And because of that, said person is very likely to then make a lot of negative assumptions about someone who is so different than anyone they've really met or been exposed to in a positive way before. And so it's easy to then start to ascribe negative stereotypes to that kind of person. And so you get, like, they show images of, like, a drag queen doing drag queen story hour. That looks weird to people. And yes, it does look weird to a lot of people. Most people are not in favor of drag queen story hour, but they're not against it enough to do anything about it. But to be clear, the average consensus among most Americans is that drag queen story hour is weird. And so you show them that, you get them emotionally invested in their ignorant reaction to something that's different to them, and then you start feeding them negative stereotypes that they're apt to believe because they're already weirded out by something that's unusual to them. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just unusual to them, and people have that kind of reaction to things that are different. And so it's very easy to convince people, hey, maybe this weirdo who, like, has purple hair or whatever, that's trans, and you've never met a trans person before, isn't trustworthy around kids. It's not too hard of a premise to sell a lot of people on. So a lot of people who believe in the whole, like, trans people are predators, gay groomer thing are people like that. And those people are very easy to get out of their, like, fear-based propaganda position. But then you've got the people who are dyed-in-the-wool bigots, the people who live and breathe and will die by the gay groomer narrative. The propagandists who have big platforms who push this stuff, and the people who wholeheartedly believe it and consume their content religiously. People like this guy. People like that, more often than not, are projecting. They think that if they insult others for something that is true about themselves enough, then maybe they will be able to, dissuade suspicion from themselves. That's really the best idea of why they do it I can get. It's projection. And time again, they keep getting outed as predators and pedophiles over and over and over again. The loudest voices against trans and gay people being allowed to have any contact with kids. And yet, statistically, the rate of being a child predator among gay people, and especially among trans people, is lower than that of cis people. Cis straight men are the highest demographic likelihood of being a pedophile than gay people or any LGBT demographic. Cis straight men. Cis straight men make up the majority of bigots and transphobes as well. All the puzzle pieces line up to show that the majority of these conservative anti-trans gay groomer narrative spreaders are themselves just projecting Ped0Cons. And that is where the term Ped0Con law and Ped0Con theory comes from. Because time and time again, stories like this, numbering in the thousands and the millions even, continuously prove this true. Not only that, but everything they stand for does nothing but to abet and aid the ability for pedophiles and child predators to more easily manipulate and harm children without them being able to know that they're being abused and to seek help from a trustworthy adult, as well as trying to enable social hierarchies that basically codify pedophilia as being the morally best thing to do. Let me have Matt Walsh say it best, actually. I think Matt Walsh really puts it best from the conservative perspective. I'll let Matt Walsh say it because I feel like from the conservative perspective, he words it best here.
It is not. In fact, ever since the beginning of time, it is not. In fact, ever since the beginning of time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant. It used to be more common. The peak, ever since they started keeping records of these things, which they only started doing recently, like in the 20th century, but ever since they started keeping records, in 1957 was the peak for teenage pregnancy. 1957. Not 2009,
well, back
not
then,
today.
All of them were supposed to have kids. Like, that's when you had kids.
That's my point, okay?
Reminder, by the way, he denies that this was his point to this day. He denied it when Shark confronted him on it in person. This guy says that's when you're supposed to have kids at 16, and Matt interrupts him and says, that's my point, hold on. Listen to that again.
7. Not 2009,
well, back
not
then,
today.
All of them were supposed to have kids. Like, that's when you had kids.
That's my point, okay? That's my point, okay? So to all of a sudden act like this phenomenon of girls getting pregnant at a young age that we consider young, 16 or 17, to act like it's a new thing is ridiculous. It's always been that way. Even biologically, and this is me just stating, right now I'm going to start by just stating facts. So fact number 1, it's not a new phenomenon. Fact number 2, in fact, it's a phenomenon that was...
God, what is up right now?
Fact number 2, in fact, it's a phenomenon that was more common earlier in history, and for, the first 6,000 to 10,000 years of human existence, it was a normal thing. Fact 3, girls between the ages of like 17 and 24 is when they're technically most fertile.
Yeah.
Okay? That's biological. That's a fact, all right? I'm just stating facts. That's all I'm doing.
I love that quote. That quote lives in my head rent-free. I'm just stating facts. That's all I'm doing. And the way he says it, Lives in my head rent-free, dude.
17 and 24 is when they're technically most fertile.
Yeah.
Okay? That's biological. That's a fact, all right? I'm just stating facts. That's all I'm doing.
God, it lives in my head rent-free, dude. It lives in my head so rent-free. It's such a desperate attempt for a fucking weirdo creep to try to, like, when he recognizes how pedophilic what he's saying is, to try to, like, diffuse it. Good God. Good translation, Ped0Con. I will not repeat it.